So thank you for being here with me today. My name is Jen Kattula. I am the GM and CMO of Microsoft Advertising. I'm going to dive into some seismic consumer behavior shifts that we are all experiencing today. We simply cannot ignore them. Zero UI is going to change the way in which we discover, interact, engage, and build trust between people and brands. We have a paradigm shift that we're facing. This is a bigger paradigm shift from radio to TV, and TV to the internet. When we engage in these new UI tools, this is called zero UI. There are no clicks, but there are new modalities. And it's going to affect all of us. And just like with all new mediums, it is the marketers and brands that are going to reshape and redefine these consumer experiences, figuring out how to drive brand love and deliver more customer value. So I want to share a little story with all of you. A few weeks ago, I was getting ready for a business trip to the mountains in Colorado, and I reached out to a stylist for some quick help because, of course, I left it to the last minute. And I asked the stylist what is Rocky Mountain chic, and do I have any of it to pack? And I was sending my stylist photos of me in every single outfit from my closet. And as I was doing that, I was thinking about how so many of our personal experiences are happening today in these digital environments. And this is underscored by a recent Harvard Business Review article that talked about the top AI use cases. Now, the top 4 AI use cases today are not even business at all. They're personal, they're private, they're about you. The first 2 that tie for number 1 are therapy and companionship, followed by organizing your life, and finally, finding purpose. So as I was asking my stylist what jacket I should bring to keep me warm from 30 degrees in the morning to 75 degrees in the afternoon, and whether a dress that I had bought 10 years ago with a handkerchief hem was still in style, I couldn't help but think how brands might show up in these experiences in the future. How would discovery work? How is commerce going to work? So my stylist finally said yes to the handkerchief hem, thankfully, and gave some great advice. Pack this shirt, that skirt, add a belt, and don't forget to bring layers for the cold conference rooms. So my suitcase was packed, and my stylist left me happy and confident. Now, I have a confession. My stylist was actually Microsoft Copilot. So this was actually an extraordinary experience for me. It was like having somebody in the room. I felt totally safe. There was empathy. Honestly, it was actually like having my sister in the room with me. And it was bolstered by the rich examples from the internet. Great inspiration, great images to kind of get me thinking about what this Aspen Rocky Mountain chic actually is. And the reality is, this is the new digital experience. And it's completely erasing the fragmentation that we all feel today. So what makes it so different? Well, it's not all functional. It's actually because it is private, it is fresh, it is dynamic, and there's empathy. So you're probably asking, what is the AI internet and what is zero UI anyways? Well, zero UI is the ability to sort of say or show or even sense something all in one place. Now, I'm not going to ask the crowd a question, but I know every single person in this room has used Copilot or ChatGPT or a similar interface. And you know when you ask a prompt, you get this rich response back. And it's tailored just to you. There are no two responses that are the same. And you can have tables, you can have images, you can have code, you can have voice, you can have video. You have these answers that are so dynamic, and you don't need to leave that interface. And so this calls into question the existing experiences that we have all been living with. When you go to websites and you see the menus and the navigations and click, 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 click. So many clicks to get to do what you are doing. These are going to fade into the background. It's going to be seamless, intuitive, ambient. That is zero UI. Now, already, 4 out of 5 people rely on zero-click search results for about half of their searches. That is a testament to just how useful these interfaces actually are. And I'll use an example here from Copilot. When we introduced ads into the buyer journey in the Copilot experience, we saw a whopping 70% increase in click-through rate and a 76% increase in conversion lift. That is truly remarkable in digital advertising today. But I'll tell you, it's not just about lifting and shifting existing ad formats. We're also experimenting with what this creative canvas can offer to brands. And one of these experiences, called Showroom, is about when we know there is purchase intent, how can we invite a brand in to tell their brand story and give a richer, more dynamic experience with images, with videos, that is all based on what the user is asking in the chat itself. The shopper will see the details. They can ask more questions and keep that conversation going. This AI melding of organic and advertising experiences is so engaging. It makes the shopping experience that much richer and that much more fun. And to be clear, this isn't about the end of websites. It's really about evolving them and allowing brands to meet customers where they are through these agentic systems. So let's talk about agents for a minute. I think we all know, I think we've actually talked about it this morning quite a lot. They perform tasks, they can make decisions, they can do that autonomously, they can do it with you in the room. And the brilliance about agents, at least in my mind, is that they have memory, they have context, they have history and reasoning, and they can even use the instructions that you give them. Microsoft recently launched an agent in collaboration with Ralph Lauren, and it is called Ask Ralph. And it uses a buyer's purchase history, it uses context from the chat to actually be a Ralph Lauren stylist. Imagine that, actually being able to ask Ralph Lauren about what to buy. I think it's brilliant. And that is a reshaping of our customer decision journey. And I am totally on a roll here with these stylist examples. So the next is the AI internet. I'd love to see a show of hands if you have more than 25 browser tabs open on your browser. It's like everybody. I probably could do 50 and your hands would all still be raised. We know we're living in fragmentation. We have hundreds of apps on our phones, and it's awesome, but it's also something we just kind of assume and live with and think it's okay. And the AI internet is the system of agents that can work in the background or work with your permission, and they talk to each other. And they reduce the friction, and they reduce that fragmentation. So the bottom line is, we're going to be able to seamlessly connect in these new experiences, and they're going to be that much more delightful, that much more useful, and that much more calm. So the implications. We're all thinking about this. I know everyone I talked to before this talk, it's the buzz du jour, I guess. Gartner says by 2028, 70% of customer journeys are going to go through AI-driven conversational experiences. That is right around the corner. And it marks a remarkable shift in how we engage with the internet. This is a restructuring, and it's fundamentally changing how we market, and it opens up a new opportunity for marketers. When you have memory, when you have context, when you have dynamic responses, you have this agentic ecosystem, and you can move from this traditional funnel-based marketing to anticipation-based marketing. So if you think about it, we've been marketing for the same way for probably the last 25 years since the internet has been around, and it is time to change. So I'm a pretty practical person, and I know when I go to conferences, I love to walk away with takeaways. So I'm going to leave you with 4 takeaways on what marketers should do now. And it really starts with building a trust tech stack. Now, in this talk alone, I've probably said personal, private, intimate, safe about 20 times. So it's safe to say that trust is absolutely the most important thing if you're going to engage with use cases like companionship and therapy, for example. And there are 4 layers to this. The first is starting with clean and inclusive data. This is your product information, your brand information, your customer information, your entire ecosystem of content. Now remember, high fidelity inputs lead to sharp, precise, and insightful outputs. I'll share an example from my team. We're actually building an agent to help with our briefing process. And all good briefs, as you all know, need great customer insights. Well, what we found was our customer insights were all over the place. Some were old, some were in various different formats. And so we had to do that level of cleanup to get a higher level of fidelity of the inputs. I always call this our marketing source code. That has to be pretty much perfect if you want these agents to be able to read what your brand is all about. The second is having ethical frameworks. So don't wait until you're about to launch your agent or your conversational experience to figure out what your responsible AI rules of the road are. Build your ethical guardrails, your on-brand guardrails, your legal guardrails beforehand, and put the safeguards in place to check and recheck your work every single time. Microsoft has a responsible AI framework that anyone can leverage. Now, the last 2 are a lot more interesting, I think, for all of us if you're a marketer in the room. The third is emotional intelligence. This is what made my experience with a stylist, the Copilot stylist, so valuable. They had empathy for the fact that I was in a rush. I didn't have to go buy anything new, and that matters. So figuring out how you can anticipate your customers' needs, what your brand voice is, this is what makes a human and what makes a brand a brand. And building that out and how you show up makes all the difference. Remember, when I uploaded those photos into Copilot, I also uploaded my trust. Now, the last one is pretty exciting. We have these new modalities to engage with our customers. We have voice, we have vision, we have wearables. This is about building the 5 senses of your brand. The creative canvas is exploding. So when your customer talks to your brand inside a conversational experience, what does it actually sound like? Have you figured out and defined your sonic branding? How are you connecting the digital and physical world? And when it comes to wearables, can your brand actually be felt in some way, shape, or form? And guess what? Researchers are actually figuring out how AI can smell. So maybe someday in the future, your brand scent will come through one of these devices. So I'm going to close, and I want to leave you with a few things. I'm an AI optimist, and I think that all of these changes can feel very daunting, and there's a lot to learn. But I want to reassure you, if you're a marketer or brand in the room, that your roles are more important than ever. Brands equal trust for so many people. You will have more personal, intimate environments to tell your stories. You have more dynamic, richer, creative canvases. And when you are invited in, you can personalize that experience to an N of 1. You have more ways to delight and more ways to build trust, earn it, re-earn it, over and over again. But it's hard work. There's a lot of new terminology. You can always feel like you're behind. I will be the first to admit that the learning curve is super, super steep. So I want to share a few best practices that have worked for us in Microsoft. Very, very simple. The first is mandate usage. It's not something that needs to be relegated to a team of AI specialists. As they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. The second is make space for learning and training, whether that's learning days or education. What I do personally is I start every single day in Copilot. That's how I get my information, not email. And I block 30 minutes a day for learning. And a lot of times that looks like just me playing around, failing a lot, and having fun. And the last one is have fun. Host a hackathon, do an agent-making marathon, have a boot camp. You will be amazed by the creativity that comes out of your teams. So I think, and I would posit that this is one of the most empowering times in history for people of all disciplines. And if you're in marketing, it is one of the most exciting times because of the opportunity that it presents. We're all going to be AI builders. I hope you get your hands dirty and take on that challenge. I shared a lot here, really just the tops of the waves. So I would love to hear from you, and especially if you've decided to use the AI stylist trick with Copilot or your favorite chat interface. So please find me on LinkedIn. I'll be posting some of our guides and how to playbooks for all of you. Thank you so much.